What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a secondary coil wire replacement on the Miniplane Top 80. Finally broke down and spent the 20 bucks and bought it from Chad Bastion. But anyways, what I'm going to be replacing is the boot and the wire that goes down to the coil down here, the ignition coil. And the reason I'm doing that is because I've had a couple failures from this boot coming detached from this wire. In the new boot they send you just screws into this wire, and it's came undone I don't know how many times. It's not very secure, so I'm just going to go ahead and redo it all, because the new boot that comes on this is that comes with this is all one assembly. It's already comes from the manufacturer on this wire, so I don't have to worry about it coming off again from here. So I figured let's go ahead and do it. It needs to be done. So yeah, this is going to be an instructional video of how I did it. This is nothing official. This is just my experience of doing it, and just hopefully this video can help others that has to, do the same thing. So stay tuned. Let's get it done. All right. So what you're going to need to do this secondary wire replacement is first and foremost a Miniplane Top 80 Paramotor, because this kit is made specifically for this Paramotor. They said it'll work on different ones, but the kit I ordered from Miniplane USA comes with there it is. What was that? Comes with this new boot on wire assembly that is cut just to length for this particular Top 80 engine. So if you need it for other engines, they can custom cut piece long enough for your specific engine. So you need the Paramotor, you need the kit. The kit comes with this new wire assembly here. Comes with this heat shrink tubing, and you want to use this, what they gave you, not your traditional automotive kind like this that I have here, because this has actual glue inside of it that will melt and bond the two parts together rather than this stuff. You'll need, you got that, and then it comes with this little guy that I keep trying not to lose here, but it keeps wandering off. But this actually goes on this end, and you slide that into the coil once you pull the old one out. And you slip this over the whole thing, and you heat it down with the heat gun, and let it bond together. It comes with this boot protector stuff. You put this on the boot and the spark plug whenever you're connecting the boot on top of the plug, so it doesn't arc and keeps moisture out. So put that on, and then you're also going to need the drill bit to drill out this rivet here, so you can take this clamp off that's holding the wire. That's all you're going to use a drill for. And then you're also going to need heat gun to loosen the old heat shrink tubing up and to install the new stuff. And you're going to need a multimeter, and I'm probably just going to use this for whenever I attach the new one, so I can make sure before I use the heat shrink tubing, the new stuff, so I can make sure it's electronically connected, because I don't want to do everything and then it not really be connected inside like it should be, and then have to do the whole thing over again. So, and let's see, masking tape. They say to put the new boot up here, put masking tape on it, so that way when you're installing the new wire into the coil, you don't have any tension. Say, instead of letting this dangle down here and having tension here while you're trying to do that, mask it up there and just keeps it out of the way and keeps it so there's not much tension being pulled on that while you're trying to put the new heat shrink tubing on. And I got a couple different kinds of files just in case, because once you pull the old wire off, right back in here, you'll need to file it down so that way you can slip the new heat shrink tubing on, because if not, that is super close. As you can see, it's super close in there where the old terminal hits up on the engine bracket there. So yeah, you need to file that down whenever you get that old secondary wire out, so you have room to slide the new heat shrink tubing on. Alright, so first things first, I am going to take off the zip ties that are holding my RPM or my tachometer gauge wire on. These off of here. Alright, so now we can go ahead and take the boot off. And just place that somewhere over there. Alright, next I'm going to drill out this rivet that's holding this old wire onto the engine bracket. So, go ahead and remove the old wire or the bracket off the engine assembly, and then we can move this whole thing out of the way. Alright, so the next thing we got to do is cut this heat shrink tubing off that's on here already. There's an old piece of heat shrink tubing. So as you can see, this is pretty close, and I'm definitely gonna have to do some filing to get that back. So I'll file with one of my files that I have, and right here, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I see glue oozing out of this plastic terminal. So right there's that glue that we have to heat up, and we're going to wiggle this. So let's go ahead and get that glue heated up and get this whole wire out of here. Alright, I've got my heat gun. I'm going to turn on low setting and heat it up for about 30-45 seconds and pull this in a circular motion, hoping to slip this right out of here. So let's try it. Get the gun heated up for a second. Nice and hot. Let's try this. There it is. There's the old wire. Alright, so I was unable to get my file in between the high terminal, or the wire plastic terminal here, and the engine bracket because my file is too big to fit in there. So I test fitted the big piece of heat shrink tubing, and it will slip on here. There's a little resistance, but it will go. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep that as is, no filing necessary in my situation. So the next step is to take the end of the wire. I've already got the big piece of heat shrink tubing up on the spark plug boot so I can slip it on when I'm done. But you take your the end here, you take your little piece of heat shrink tubing and you put that on there. Now what's going to happen is inside the terminal here there's a steel post, and your goal is to slip that post between the core of this wire and the heat shrink tubing. So let's go ahead and give it a shot, and let's see if we can do this in one shot. Okay, I feel it. There's resistance going in. Okay, I think I got it. And I can lightly tug on it, and it's not coming out. So I do have that heat shrink tubing is right up along that the post inside is right up inside the heat shrink tubing. So you don't want any pulling on that right now. So now we're going to slide the big piece of shrink tubing over the entire thing like that. Sweet. And we are ready for some heat. Okay, I've got my heat gun warming up right now. Heat shrink tubing's on, everything's in place. We just got to apply some heat now. And we also need something, like I'm using this flat file here. I'm just going to use it to hold this heat shrink tubing in place. rather than my finger so I don't burn it, but they say once you heat this glue up, heat this tubing up, the glue that's inside of it that's melting causes it to become slippery and it could slip off. So you want to hold everything together with a file or something like that, and while you're applying heat. So let's try this. Alright, I'm gonna let this thing cool for a couple of minutes. And everything should be in place. Let that thing cool. Alright, so while I'm letting that cool, I totally forgot to do the test to make sure it's electrically connected. I'm sure it is because it slipped on real nice and secure. Didn't feel like anything was loose, so I'm sure everything's fine, but for the video and for my peace of mind, I will go ahead and test it out. So turn our meter here to ohms, and I just want to test from into this boot to a fin on the ignition coil, or on the engine casing. So I got 0, which I don't like. Okay. So I just have a good connection there with my plug. Cool, 9.83, that's good. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and show you why I did this replacement here. So this is the original one. And let me get a pair of wire strippers real quick so I can show you guys exactly the difference between that one I just installed and the OEM one. So let's cut this back. Alright, so the OEM one, and I wish I would have taken a picture of it, but I mean, you can see on their website the difference between the two. This is the one I just installed, and this is the OEM one. The one I just installed is spiral wound, so it has actual metal spiral that goes around the core of it, which is awesome compared to what Miniplane put on their, or Top 80 put on their OEM one. So this is what's in the core of the original one. Just a bunch of strands of wires. And the boot that you buy aftermarket, watch, I could, yeah, that was on great. That's how I flew with it last. Awesome. So the whole thing is, this is the new boot that you buy if you need to replace just the boot itself. And it comes with a little self-tapping, like a little wood screw, it looks like in there, like a little self-tapping screw of some kind. And you're just supposed to put that screw in the center of the wire and twist it along until it gets tight, I guess, and doesn't really work the best from my experience. So trying to have that little self-tapping screw inside of there grasp onto these little strands of wires, highly don't recommend doing that. If you ever have to need, replace this boot, I highly suggest just go ahead and buy the whole thing, because look, here it's all one piece, you know. I ain't got to worry about this coming undone, which was my biggest fear for I don't know how long now. So happy to have this thing off of there. This is honestly garbage compared to what I just put on there. So yeah, that's the original Miniplane wiring, top 80 wiring for the ignition wire. And that's the aftermarket boot, which the boot's good. This would work good if this wire was, you know, bigger. It's such a thin wire. How are you supposed to, how is that screw supposed to go between this wire and, you know, make a good secure connection? It's just not going to happen. So glad that's all off of there. I keep this for, you know, something else. All right, so I'll go ahead and show you guys the finished product down here. Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, I could really pull on, I'm not gonna, because I don't wanna, but I could really pull on it and it's not gonna come off. This is a real nice secure connection. So good job whoever thought of the using this Excel spark plug boot on the Miniplane Top 80. And this heat shrink tubing that they gave you, the special heat shrink tubing, is awesome. Whatever glues inside there, once it dries, whew, that is not coming off. So I'm pretty happy with that right there. Absolutely. And this right here is going to be nice and tight. That is like, that's going to be awesome. So it's a little tight to get on, but tighter the better in my opinion, because I don't want that popping off. Yeah. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little sandpaper right here, make this flat edge here smooth without these little shards sticking up. I think I'm just going to take a good old trusty zip tie and zip it right there. I might have to rethink that one. I'll let you guys know what I think. Alright, so this is what I did. I took a piece of Tygon fuel line and I slid it down the middle of it and wrapped it around the wire here. And I took these white zip ties and zip tied it to the ignition wire. Then what I sanded that surface smooth there, so I took this baby black zip tie and I've got it secured through that hole onto the actual frame, so it's not going to go anywhere. The fuel line that I put on there is going to prevent it from vibration, potentially rubbing a hole through this ignition wire. So that was just a little last minute thing I thought of doing, but I don't, as you can see, I don't have this black one super tight because I don't want that, you know, like nailed right up against there, I don't think, to reduce the potential for it rubbing a hole through the fuel line and then through the ignition wire, because these things do put out a crazy amount of vibration, more than I've seen on anything, to be honest with you. So yeah, that was that's what I did as far as remounting that there. Alright, so I've got my tachometer wire back on there. I'm mounted back here. My next thing is to use this dielectric spark plug boot protector to avoid stuck boots. So what I'm going to do is, I guess, take a little bit, and it says to put it on the spark plug cap like that, and then maybe put a little inside there like that. I don't want to go too overboard with it, and I guess just put it on. So let's see. Okay, and there you have it. That's the finished product right there. Nice secure connection down here. We're connected there, and I'm also connected up here. Cool. Alright, next step is to fire it up. Alright, next step is to start this thing and see how she runs. Let's try it. Oh yeah. Nice. Let's see how easily it starts back up.